Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a very windy day in Kansas, so I'm having to hold my microphone, but this is my 2020 BMW M2 competition. What I think will be one of the last great BMWs ever made and one of the best cars in its segment, with some possible exceptions, and this is one of them. This is a Ford Mustang Shelby GT350. And this is a car that might make me regret my decision because I love this generation of Mustang. And by love, I mean hate, because they're so good. This generation of Mustang GT, the S550, is so dang competent and, in my opinion, good looking that it makes buying literally anything else in the segment really hard to justify. Wouldn't normally think of cross-shopping these two. I thought the Shelby was going to be a lot more expensive, but on the used market, these GT350s go for about what I picked up my M2 for, with similar miles. Now, they're a little bit older, a little bit bigger, a little bit heavier, a little bit more powerful, but I think the differences might actually even out altogether. I'm not sure. Let's see what it's like. I've wanted to drive this car since my buddy Luke got it years ago, so I'm excited about this whole thing, honestly. Now, to be honest, this isn't a completely fair comparison because neither of these cars are completely stock, but both of them have some light modifications that are typical of what someone would do on the cheap. This one has the resonators deleted and cut out. Any exhaust shop will do that for $100. It has some intakes that make it a little louder, but they're not really a performance thing. And then I flashed the M2 competition tune on this, which brings it from 405 to 450 horsepower, which again, $300, and it's an OEM tune, so that's a literal no-brainer that anybody should do to their M2 comp when it's out of warranty. So we're going to take a quick look around each car here just to take a look at the differences. I don't know much about these at all, other than it's fast and they're all manual. That's really all I've got for you today. And then Luke and I are going to get out and we're going to drive each other's cars and give our impressions on how they compare to each other. And hopefully I do not end this video in a mountain of regret. We're just going to do this run and gun style real quick because it is windy and getting colder. I've got Luke behind the camera with me to help walk me through his car here. Looking at it already, these brakes look absolutely enormous. Brembos with floating rotors. My car does not have floating rotors. That was a European-only option, annoyingly. I love this blue color. What's this blue called?
Deep Impact Blue.
Deep Impact. There's an Evangelion reference in there somewhere, I'm sure of it. Like I said, I love how these S550s look. They've got the long hood and the fastback styling that's just pretty timeless and a lot, in my opinion, it just absolutely slays the 6th gen Camaros and their tiny little squinty. Yeah, they're not aging well. They're already aging poorly, and I think this is actually a pretty timeless look on the part of Ford. Did these have any like carbon fiber body panels or anything like that? I know the core supports carbon fiber for some reason, but did they do any other lightening to these?
Yeah, so as far as I know, what I've been told is the front fenders are composite as well.
You know what? Actually, here's the specs on both cars. They're on the screen. There you go. Now you have them. They're new cars. Who really cares? Moving on. The 350 is pretty similar to the standard GT models. You do get the sort of Euro-style clear tails, which I actually think work really well on these cars. Not typically my thing, but in this case, I'm a big fan. Obviously, the Mustang logo has been replaced by the man himself's name, naturally. Is that painted? No, that's decals. Okay.
It's vinyl on top. It's actually off the Super Snake. They have one that's, that deck lid. So I got one off of Super Snake, and then there's a decal pack you can get that says Shelby. I put it on top of it to make it pop.
Okay. I love the wing. The 3-post wing is really cool. It's actually probably more a spoiler than it is a wing. The distinction is something that will have aerodynamicists and engineers arguing till the end of time with people who think they know what they're talking about, which currently doesn't include me. Oh wow, you've got like entire bottom half PPF on this?
Yeah.
That's impressive. And these didn't have the option of the carbon fiber wheels, did they? That was only the 500?
That was the R. The R had the carbon
okay.
fibers, yeah.
That's something I noticed when I was comparing prices of these two online, is that there's no 350s for sale right now. It's just Rs. And by research, I mean scrolling cars and bids for about 15 minutes. I had to do quite a bit of searching to find a single 350 for sale, but I did find a couple that were in the same ballpark as my M2, similar prices, similar miles and whatnot. I don't know. I think that's probably plastic. This does have electronic dampers, which my car does not have. That was a CS thing, not a comp. And then we have the Voodoo engine, except this one's not really a Voodoo, is it?
No, this
is
is
particular car.
Yeah, so this is actually a Gen 2. This is a 16, and the 2016s and 2015s had a problem with oil consumption. Unfortunately, this car had that, but underneath the warranty, they put in one of the new Gen 2 Voodoos in it, and they're a little bit stronger. They have like the Predator block, stuff like that on them. And probably the best feature of all is they relocated the oil filter from the stupid spin-on that likes to spin off to a cartridge filter.
Where's that at?
So I'm going to be perfectly honest with you. This thing's under warranty, so I'm taking it to
You
dealerships.
never changed the oil.
Yeah.
I guess that's fair. I'm not going to do any work to my M2 either.
Yeah, I mean, when the engine was like almost 30 grand to replace, so like I'm going to keep it.
Documented oil changes, please,
Yes,
and thank you.
exactly. That's exactly.
Yeah, so for both of us, these cars are kind of the same thing. This is our nice car that other people work on so that we can have our garbage cans that sit on jack stands most of the time.
Yes.
And actually, we're probably going to go look at your garbage can later.
Yes.
I actually like it a lot. So, yeah, dual overhead cam, V8, it's still 5-liter?
5.2.
And it's still naturally aspirated, so it probably has the power delivery that I like. I'm not a big fan of supercharged engines.
Yeah, what's nice is even if it has a flat plane crank, it still has a lot of torque down low.
Yeah.
So, like, for example, like the Stealth that we might go look at later, it's a V6, so it's got a decent amount of torque down low, but when the turbos hit, that's where we get the power. This, it's very linear.
Yeah.
Like, even all the way up to the top end, like, compared to the 17 GT I had, it was fine top end, but it just doesn't have the top end this thing does.
Yeah, top end is kind of what I like. I prefer a car that spins the tires at 3,000 RPMs to a car that spins them off idle.
Yep.
I was not a fan of how my LS1 powered Corvette delivered its power. It was just a big lump of torque and then nothing else. So whether you shift at 3 or shift at 6, it's all the same. It never made me want to wring it out. One thing I have heard about these is that the gear ratios are kind of long. I'm very curious how that is, because I think the gear ratios are pretty long in this as well, but they're pretty well matched to like canyon driving and stuff, which again was a big issue with my Corvette. Was second gear takes you to like 90.
Yeah, this has a TR3160. I looked it up.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a TR3160 because I know they didn't have the MT82s because those were kind of a problem child and they still are.
Yeah.
They like to
That's kind of a shame.
fork problems. And,
That's a shame.
yeah.
That kind of goes against what I was saying earlier about how much I love the GT and how it's kind of the best pick in its class to me.
As long as you don't beat the hell out of it, then they hold up pretty well. I kind of beat on my 17 before I traded it in. And
I guess that kind of makes sense because like the crowd that buys Mustangs also think that being a better driver just means shifting faster.
yeah.
So other than a replacement block, which is a very normal maintenance item that pretty much anyone would have done on a car,
totally normal.
What else have you done to the powertrain on this?
So basically, it's fairly stock. Pretty much the only thing I've done is I put on a Ford Performance washable, reusable filter, and then as for the exhaust, I did the resonator delete X pipe, which the R's came factory with no resonators, but the 350s came factory with resonators, like the regular 350s.
Yeah.
So I actually did the resonator delete basically to have kind of like the faux R sound because now it doesn't have resonators in it. And
we both have resonator deletes and cone filters.
yeah, basically.
What I do like about Ford is that they do offer these performance parts with a warranty and stuff. Do they have a tune for this?
I am not 100% sure. I know they do for the regular
Yeah, the
GTs.
The GTs and the EcoBoost especially, because the EcoBoost tune is absurd. It's like 100 foot-pounds of torque and 60 horsepower, and it retains your warranty, and it's not that expensive.
Yeah.
And to me, that's absolute insanity. BMW has a lot of stuff like that as well, but it's all hilariously expensive. If I wanted, I could rebuild half this car in carbon fiber using OEM parts, and you could spec it that way from the dealership with a carbon fiber like fenders, hood, trunk, roof for some reason, splitter, diffuser, side strakes. They really went after the Instagram crowd, starting with this generation of BMW. Okay, immediately sitting down in here, these seats, I know I talk about how much I love BMW seats. These seats are also really, really good. And the clutch is extremely light in this thing for some reason. I'm kind of jealous, actually. That's because I've got knee issues. That's nice. Start, stop button. Yep. Same shift pattern as my car, except it's okay. It's a collar. Yeah. See, I like that. In the BMWs, reverse is in the same location, except it's just push it harder.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's real goofy. How's the clutch engagement? Very easy. Yeah. These are such easy cars to drive. This has way better tires than my car. This thing's on Pilot Super Sports, so I imagine that'll make it feel quite a bit differently. This steering wheel is not factory. The factory steering wheel was Alcantara, you said, and yeah. I have owned cars with Alcantara steering wheels. They're the worst. Those are why driving gloves exist, because your hand oils just immediately make them the worst thing ever. That said, I don't like this. There's nowhere that feels comfortable. I guess here, kind of.
Yeah, see, for me, like, I have big hands.
I have tiny hands, which is probably part of it. Okay, we'll just drive gently first few blocks here. That's so much smoother of an engine note than I'm used to. Oh, and the shifter. Oh, that's good. The shifter's very direct. I mean, no complaints. I don't think you could even describe this as notchy. You know, like I said, the shifter in my car, people who like it will call it smooth. People who don't like it will call it rubbery. A lot of the times the inverse of that is people will call other shifters direct if they like it and notchy if they don't like it. This is just good. And I remember in the GT, I don't remember if it was the GT or the EcoBoost S550, people had a lot of issues with the clutch pedal feel.
I think it was the EcoBoost.
Yeah, they're like adding and removing springs and all kinds of stuff. And yeah, no, does this have auto rev match?
Nope.
Okay. My car does, and I hate it.
Yeah.
I mean, it works really, really well. It's phenomenal, but it's not what I'm here for. Yep. The only way to turn it off is to turn off all of the traction control, like all of the way. Oh my gosh, the brakes.
Yeah, it's very grippy.
Because the brakes are another complaint with my car. I hate them. I'm going to be getting new pads here soon. Because yeah, they need to feel like this. Because these aren't carbon ceramics or anything. These are just normal. Do you have stock brake pads in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
But they're a high metallic, like they're an actual, more aggressive pad. But.
Yeah, my pads are dusty and noisy, which is okay because they also suck.
Yeah, see, mine are dusty and noisy, but they grip hard.
Yeah, they've got really good initial bite.
Yeah,
makes it a little hard to heel toe though, because you can't get you can't push the brake pedal enough to bring it in line with the gas. So the gas pedal is, I can do it, but the gas pedal is sunken about an inch. It feels below the brake.
There's a couple companies that make like an offset thing for the gas pedal, so it brings it level.
It's such a good, it's not, you hear like flat plane crank V8 and whatever, and you think it's going to sound very European, but it doesn't.
Wait till I get to the upper RPMs though.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay, well here we go. Upper RPMs on the way. What was that button?
I just turned off the AC.
Ah. It gets up there.
Yeah.
And these chassis are great. Very communicative, very easy to catch. I mean, obviously traction control is still on there. Tires are cold. It's cold. Everything's cold. I'm cold. It all sucks. This has heated and cooled seats.
It does.
I hate it. Damn it. So many regrets. Cooled seats are one of those features that I just kill for in a car. And they managed to do that in a car that doesn't weigh much more than my M2. Steering feel is still dead. It's as dead as my M2, which isn't, economy car dead, but it's definitely not,
it's
super
electronic.
Yeah. I mean, everything's EPS these days.
and EPS is going to be varying degrees of bad. But I mean, this is still good as far as modern cars go. It's not what auto journalists busted a nut about 20 years ago. Let's see, what are we at? 6th at 70. What's the torque like? None.
Yeah, 6th, yeah.
2,000 RPM, there is nothing, which is fine. What's this red line at? 8? Is that actually 8?
Yeah, it's 8250. Yeah, you didn't even have it close to red line.
Oh, I don't look down at the dashboard when I'm...
Yeah, no, and I appreciate that, because, you know, you don't put it in the ditch then.
Yeah. It's very tricky in a Mustang. You know, luckily there were no crowds around. Okay, we got that joke out of the way. We're done now.
Right.
And also, again, oh, right, this has adjustable dampers. Okay, so we're in sport mode with the dampers now. And honestly, I don't see why you wouldn't leave it in this all the time, because it actually rides quite nice. But let's put it in normal. Feels the exact same. I will concede that GM does this better. In like the 1LEs, you can set custom modes where you're like, I want comfort steering, but absolutely track everything else. Okay. Those brakes are really good.
Yeah.
Okay, I found the red line. The needle doesn't keep up. I want this CRV let me over. Yeah, the needle doesn't keep up. It stops accelerating when the needle's still at like 8. That is really good power delivery though. Because yeah, it does encourage you to bring it out a little bit. 3rd might have been optimistic. It grips.
Grab second downshift. You got 8,000 RPMs.
This is fun. This is a very different fun than the M2, but it's still really good. And it's hard because it's different enough that I don't know that I'll be able to say if I like one better than the other, because it's so hard to cross-shop different experiences. You know what's weird? Despite being smaller, I'm almost certain the M2 has more backseat space.
It's very possible.
It's definitely got more headroom because it's got more of that stodgy 80s really high roofline. But I would struggle to sit behind myself in this car.
Yeah, I think it's because they have such a long hood on these things, and it kind of, you know, smooshes everything towards the back.
I do love, that is one part of the experience that I absolutely love, is I can look forward and I can see hood, and it goes on.
Yeah, let's see if I can do it.
That's actually one thing the Mercedes SLR McLaren does poorly, is it has the world's longest hood and you can't see it from the driver's seat. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's just because I'm short as hell. But I'm also short as hell in here, and I can see it just fine. Okay, back to let's go to full comfort mode here. Okay, normal. All right. Yeah, I still struggle to tell much of a difference between the different ride modes. I remember when the C7 Corvettes came out. I worked at a Chevy dealership at the time. What was it? We got a C7 Z06 automatic in, and I was just out back going slowly over a speed bump over and over and switching the ride control between comfort and sport, and it was an insane difference. You know, I'm just creeping over these at the normal speeds that you would go over a speed bump really slow, but in sport mode it was like, you know, I'd hit my head almost, and then in comfort mode you didn't feel it. And I just, I mean, I know GM kind of originated the technology, but it still seems like nobody else has done it quite as good, even BMWs with the adjustable dampers, which I don't think are magnetourological. I think they're just a motor on the top, but they're still not as dramatic as that. And to me, anything less dramatic than that is kind of like, what's the point? A well set up aftermarket shock will be just as good. Because, you know, again, I don't have adjustable shocks in my car, and I've never really missed it. Yeah, it's still real easy to rev match. Real easy to heel. I mean, even with the pedals like that, the throttle response and the clutch make it extreme. Like, I struggled driving my M2 after I got it, like learning clutch, you know, where the clutch engages and everything. This is such an intuitive car to drive in every respect. Oh, a little pop.
Yep.
Love that. Yeah, I'm also rev matching. I'm rev matching from like idle. Yeah, it's a little okay. It's a little harder when you're actually up in the revs where you'd be on a racetrack. But just you know, I'm that sort of dude who rev matches to a red light.
I do that all the time too.
I mean, I got it. I'm gonna use it.
Yeah, and it sounds cool.
Suspension is increasingly something that I have trouble giving opinions about as far as handling goes, because every performance car is good now. They're all good. You know, it used to be, oh, this one's wallowy. Oh, this one feels like it's cornering on its door handles. Oh, this one, I wish I had more sway bar. But increasingly, I get in a modern enthusiast car, and there's not really anything I'd change, except for Miatas. Miatas have the worst stock suspension ever, but they're cheap. But just, I get in them, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty much all I would want for anything other than really hardcore track driving in, like, you know, a BRZ or my M2 or anything like that. You know, the abilities of the stock suspension are so wildly beyond the driving capabilities of pretty much anybody aside of Randy Popes that it's just hard to really have an opinion. Like, yeah, this car, yeah, the turn-in's great, very sharp, it doesn't roll. What more do you want for me to say? And it rides fine. It's good suspension, and that's just how so many cars are these days. I struggle to find anything to say there. Also, we're in Kansas, where it doesn't really matter anyway. What are we going to do? Yeah, it really body rolls around this corner at 20 miles an hour. Delightful. What a sound. Interior material. I mean, okay, I'm gonna nitpick a little. Interior materials are actually pretty good, honestly. Like, this isn't the 70s anymore. I hate 70s American cars where they've got, you know, oh, we molded stitching in to make it look like it's stitched leather and there's fake wood on everything. I mean, there is molded in stitching on the dash here, but I can't talk shit because my M2 also has molded in stitching on the dashboard. I hate it in both of these cases, but it is what it is. I mean, you've got, it's really shocking how similar the interiors are. They both have Alcantara here. They both have half Alcantara seats. They both have pretty much the same feature set, except this one has cooled seats, which I remain incredibly jealous of. No rattles in here, which I'm annoyed about because, yeah, weirdly, I think the Ford might actually have a slightly nicer interior than the BMW, which is immensely annoying. I mean, not unexpected because the 2 Series is like their poverty spec BMW, but I mean, this is all quite good. Gone are the days of the 80s where I could grab the dash and wiggle it, and where, you know, panels are just falling off around me, and, you know, everything in here feels, I mean, okay, I found a little bit of a squeak in the center console, whatever. It's all pretty stout. I mean, I've been in a lot of high-end cars, and what's weird is when you get to this sort of tier, this sort of $60,000 new car, $60,000 to $100,000 actually seems to be the sweet spot for interiors. Once you get above $100,000, they don't get good again until you're buying a Maybach or a Bentley. They're just no better. If anything, they're worse because they age worse. Yeah, metal door handles, always nice. Because, you know, the touch points are what's important. You know, what are you touching? The steering wheel, the door handles, well, that's pretty bad. That's one of my tests, is the door grabs on the door. How much do they wiggle? There's a little bit of wiggle there, which is more than I'd expect. But all the stuff you touch is pretty good in here. You know, that's nice leather. That's aftermarket, but the shift knob's good. The shifter feels great. The pedals all feel great. The steering all feels great. And that's what's important in a car. You can cheap out a lot on almost everything else in a car, but at least those things need to be where you pay the most attention, which is why it's baffling that in my C5 Corvette, all the things you touch are the worst damn parts of the car. Steering wheel's awful, shifter's awful, pedals were mid, door handles and stuff were all absolutely tragic. This was just like a chunk of the world's worst plastic there, and it was all with like, and all of this stuff had like this much padding in it, so when you grab it, it's like you're squishing a teddy bear. Oh, gross. You're gonna get steering feedback through that? No. That's why I put an aftermarket wheel and an aftermarket shift knob on it, and instantly made the car 10 times better, because again, for whatever reason, GM just didn't realize it. This matters. We're a lot closer to each other in here.
Yeah.
This is a much narrower car, I'm noticing.
Yeah. I just like to be able to see behind me.
That's what I was talking about, interior quality. You grab that, it's just like creak. Yeah, we've got the exposed carbon fiber weave for some reason. I don't understand why. It seems like a terrible material for an interior, but...
Should I go try to warm it up a little bit before I do anything?
It should...
Where's your temp gauge at?
Guess what? There's one.
I'm just gonna try to drive it. There's a car behind me, so...
Yeah, BMW... Yeah, there's...
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's actually less pronounced since I flashed the CS tune on here.
Really?
I guess they figured that the people who paid the extra money didn't want quite as immature of a pops and bangs.
Is fun.
It is fun, but it was really excessive before.
Is it raining?
What the hell?
There was no rain in the
There
forecast.
was nothing today.
What the hell?
Something I appreciate is this car actually has turbo lag.
Okay.
Turbo lag's fun. I don't like modern engines trying to feel like naturally aspirated engines. I always thought it'd be funny if you went back to the 80s and told someone in the far-flung distant future of 2020 pretty much every car on the road would be turbocharged, and then you show them a picture of a Ford EcoSport. That's one thing I appreciate about this car. There is zero fake grills or vents on this whole car.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot the auto rev.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes annoying because when you're coming to a stop and you put it in neutral and wiggle it, sometimes it'll think you're about to go for first, and so it'll bump the revs up. That happens at the end of my street a lot, so I'm like trying to leave my neighborhood like a sane person. I get to the end of the road and it goes, and I'm like, this heated seat is delightful. Did it not rain over here? It's dry.
Yeah, that's why I was just looking at it actually. Okay, thanks.
Good news, we get to stare at the dirty back of a Ford Explorer XLT.
Oh yeah, you gotta actually give them the credit where it's due.
Yeah, everything kind of rattles in this interior too. Yes, that is kind of the problem with these tires, is they slip a little and then traction control kind of kills the party.
You know, honestly,
It feels slower from the passenger seat for some reason.
I didn't know exactly what to expect. Like I'm really bad at explaining shit.
So I think I know where you're going, and it's what I thought would be the biggest difference between these two cars is the ratio of length to width. This is a wide, short car.
Yeah, that actually might be it. Yeah.
I don't think the Shelby's any wider than a normal one, right?
I don't think so.
It didn't look balled up fender flares.
Yeah.
And it's a very long car.
Yeah, I don't think it's any longer than just a regular S550, but I mean wider. But I know up front it does have those. The fenders are a little bit wider because it has the ducts for the front brakes. But I mean that might be like an inch or two, and it's probably just body work more than anything else.
Yeah.
So.
Here's the track widths on screen right now. I'm sure I'll research it later. Oh, good, rain again.
Yeah, I was just like, really?
What is happening?
Welcome to Kansas. And this auto rev match I try to like throttle blip downshift every time.
I know. I keep meaning to see if there's a way to code that out. I don't think there is. Just go for it in a second. Freaking F-150.
Dude, I thought he was gonna go that way. But...
Yeah, no turn signal on, so you'd think he would, but no. Some horrendous headlights on it. The shifter's a lot less mechanical feeling than the one in your car.
Yeah.
Which is kind of disappointing. You know, that's sort of just what BMW does. That's just how they are. But it's still so good in the GT350.
Unfortunately, there's a truck in front of me, so I can't.
said, it's a 3-liter straight 6 with twin turbos, 450 horsepower, and I'm not sure on the torque off the top of my head. I think it makes 20 pounds of boost in stock trim like this. Direct injected, water to air intercooled. It's interesting how similar they are despite how different they are.
Yeah.
They both do the same things well. It's just kind of, do you want...
BMW? Or
do you want burger flavored or sauerkraut?
Yeah. And I mean, again, unfortunately, there was traffic. I didn't have the ability to really kind of get after it, but with what I did drive it, like, I like it. And if, you know, let's say something bad happens to the Shelby, and for some reason I have to get only an M2, you know, only this car.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be unhappy at all.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there's also the M4, which is the same powertrain but more Mustang sized.
okay. Well, that might be better for me, you know, big guy and all. But
Yeah.
regardless, I wouldn't be upset having that car or this car. Like, and this could very easily be a daily driver. I mean, do you daily drive this?
Not usually. Right now there's construction happening in my house, so it's not able to go in the garage, so I've been driving it more than I normally would, but usually I drive the i3 just because it's electric and it's free.
I wouldn't mind driving this daily. You know, like when it's nice out, I will quote unquote daily the Shelby. I mean, granted, I do work from home and all that, so I don't really have far to go, but like if I'm going out and doing stuff, I'll take the Shelby out. But so my definition of daily drive is a little bit different than most people's.
Yeah, I think a lot of people who own these cars do daily them because they're, you know, it's the cheaper M car. It's within the budget of some people, but maybe not in the budget of, but those people probably won't have a second car. Mm-hmm. So I think a lot of these do end up getting dailied, and some of them have hit some, you know, 200,000 miles and been okay.
When I try to decide what to take to Cars and Coffee or a car show, as much as I love the Shelby, at the end of the day, it's a Mustang.
It's a Mustang. Yeah, that is. So that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of thing with this too. Like I've taken it to a couple car shows. No one really cares. It's a silver BMW. it's not exactly interesting. Well, I still haven't made my mind up about GT350 versus M2, but here's Luke's other car, the infamous Dodge Stealth RT TT, also known as a Mitsubishi 3000 GT VR4. I love these cars as a concept. I would not want to own them. Luke and our other friend Ed are the only people I know that are actually crazy enough to own these things and do them correctly. And when done correctly, they are one heck of a car. This one's on E85, so the cold starts are real fun. It was playing Hot for Teacher for a minute there. Yeah. Reps! And a whole bunch of other stuff has been done. I actually wasn't aware that this car worked. I thought it was still needing things. We're gonna take it for a rip, because what is a 100% Jake video without a whole bunch of tangents anyways? So yeah, like I said, you and Ed are kind of the only people in town crazy enough to do these cars properly.
A little bit.
Most people there, actually no, there is one other, but he has his has some JDM stuff on it. There's that pearlescent white one.
Yeah, so I think, no, what's his name? Used to go by Rice Viper.
That's appropriate.
Yeah,
way better interior than a Viper, though.
Yeah.
Especially a first gen, and by that I mean any interior at all.
They stole our mirrors. You know the story behind that?
No.
So
I guess it makes sense because Chrysler.
Yeah. So basically, the Stealth was supposed to be the pace car for like 90 or 91, something like that. And everybody threw a bitch fit because it was an import. And so what they did was they rushed the Viper to the pace car, and they didn't have mirrors. So they yanked some off the shelf for the Stealth. And so if you actually look on the bottom of the official pace car, and actually a lot of the other Vipers, they say like Mitsubishi on the bottom of the mirrors because they're from these.
Wow, I knew the first part of that story. I did not know the second.
Yeah.
So what all has been done to this one?
Oh, Jesus.
Okay, yes. That's kind of how every one of these is.
Yeah.
And every 3S is like, oh Lord, where do I begin?
Yeah.
Because it's what, E85 GT40 turbos, did you say?
20 Ts.
20 Ts.
Yeah, TD04 HL 20T anti-surge turbos.
Front mount?
Front mount, it's got, I'm running, instead of an MAF, I'm running, well, technically I'm still on an MAF, but it's a GM MAF. Like a, giant 3-inch one.
Yeah.
And it's being, it's a blow-through setup. With the mass airflow translator, like old school technology here.
Yeah. Are you on a standalone or a Chrome or what?
I'm on Chrome.
Chrome?
Yeah, Chrome, 1220cc injectors.
So any reason you haven't gone standalone and just gone speed density? Or is speed density alpha and blend?
So, Chrome has a speed density system.
Okay.
And that was actually on this car for a very long time. But also, that's the reason why this car was down for about 2 years, because it kept causing all sorts of issues with tuning, and it caused my AFRs to swing wildly, and we couldn't figure out what was going on. We even took the speed density system out and swapped it for a known good one out of my friend's Stealth that was running fine, by the way, and put it in my car, and the car was still acting up. So, logical process, that eliminates the speed density unit. But long story short, somebody else was having the problem, and they actually went back to a stock MAF just for a little bit and cleared right up immediately. So I kind of cobbled together a contraption with, my friend's help, and we ran the stock MAF on here. Sure as shit, ran fine. Obviously, I couldn't get into boost or anything, right?
Yeah.
It drove fine. It didn't have any hesitation or like lean dips or anything. So that's when we switched to the MAFT and the GMF. And so I'm kind of like gun shy about speed density now. I could have gone with like an AEM or a Haltech system.
Yeah.
But
that Chrome stuff's really old though, isn't it? Like,
it is. And that's the thing, is it's tried and true. And a lot of people that run kind of the same setup I have are on Chrome. And then the biggest factor for Chrome was that my friend actually does like development and stuff with Chrome. And so he's really good at tuning Chrome. And so that's another reason why I went with Chrome, was because I knew somebody who could tune the car, who's experienced in the platform, who could take care of it for me correctly.
What power level do you think this is at right now?
Right now, this is just a pure guesstimation, but similar setups to mine on similar boost levels, anywhere from 400 to 450 at the tire, all-wheel drive. So, and as of right now, I'm generally about 16 to 17-ish peak, depending on weather and all that stuff. But ultimately, I want to be around the 22 to 24 PSI, which will be about 550 at the tire, 550, 6, something like that, which will be phenomenal. But I still have some things I need to take care of before I get there.
Is your transmission stock?
The transmission is stock. I have an upgraded, I think it's a South Bend DXD clutch or something like that. It's their heavy duty one.
Yeah, still, stock gears holding 40% more power is impressive.
Yeah.
Especially in a front wheel drive transmission.
Well, yeah, well, actually, I guess it is kind of a front wheel drive transmission. But,
well, it's transverse. They don't have as much room to work with.
This is true. And then actually the weak link on these is actually going to be the bottom end. The factory bottom end on the engine, which is why I got that whole second engine transmission and everything, is because I'm going to build it for big power after I finish the car. I'm going to build it for big power because my turbos, my fuel system, my exhausts, like intake system, literally everything on this car is ready to go for bigger power.
Yeah.
Except the engine itself.
Well, that's a minor detail.
Yeah,
I can see why that would.
Yeah. But like even I have an aluminum drive shaft on here now because like the original was a steel 3-piece and it's like a wiggle worm.
Yeah.
It's really because the geometry of the suspension is really weird.
Yeah.
And so they have to have a 3-piece. Well, the upgraded one's actually a 2-piece and it's an aluminum, and that's the unit I have now. So like basically pretty much everything is good except for that. And then also while I have out the second transmission, I'm going to go ahead and weld in or get the transmission brace welded in, stuff like that, just to make sure that it can handle that power long term.
Yeah.
So, but that's ultimate end goal. Right now, I just want to get the car set up with my 22, 24 psi, and then I want to finish the few things that I have left to finish, like a little bit of suspension work, wheels and tires, some interior stuff. I want to get the whole car reshot black again, just get it refreshed because it's 94 paint.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's going to be time to go big. But compared to this, the Shelby is like a fine surgical precision instrument. This thing is like a sledgehammer.
That's very backwards of how you'd expect the Japanese car to compare to the American car.
Well, yeah, but also Japanese car that the American has got his hands on and done stuff to. So
all the 90s sounds.
it does.
I love how old performance cars all sound so much different than new ones.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Luke, for showing me your cars.
Yeah.
And thank you to all my Patreons for their continued support. Of course, they all got to see this video early, as per the usual. And then also thank you to all of you guys for watching.